a lot of presenters tend to put too much things on the presentation slide as they present, and then it creates a lot of confusion during the presentation in the audience. Right? And people look at the information they cannot see properly. And so that's why this program was actually designed to help those individuals simplify the information, and it's called Amazing Sticky Presentations. So the whole idea here is to do this thing that is called turning ideas into lasting impression. The whole thing here is about having an idea, and what are you going to do with the idea? Everybody have information, have idea. An idea comes in many formats. It comes in pictures, it can be diagram, it can be data, numbers. It can be also text. And the problem with data is that if you have too much of them, too much numbers or too much text, then we all get confused. We do not know how to selectively put the right information on the slide. And so one of the things that the training does is that help you to look at the information, analyze it, and then organize it into visuals, into slides that are able to be more effective when you communicate those ideas. So you want slides that are able to say, convey the message directly instead of putting too many things on the slide. Just to show you some example, this is what we see every day, and that is not good. If you attend meetings, you attend conferences, seminar, every presenter does things like that. Even they put pictures, also very difficult to see. Numbers, data, chart, too many things. And so these are all the things that during the training, we help the participant think again about the data that they want to show on presentation slide and tell them this is not the way to do it. Why? Because there is no wow. You cannot wow the audience. Then that's thing number bad. You cannot have excitement, so there's no excitement. The audience look at it, they are not excited about wanting to listen to you. And there is no engagement. You cannot grab their attention. No engagement. Okay, without all the three things, you cannot get that wow effect. And all presentation needs to have that wow effect because why? At the end of the day, you want to get a yes. You want your management, you want your audience to agree. Yes, I like your idea. I want to sign on your proposal. I want to give you the budget to do the things that you need to do. And that is what you want to do with a presentation. And in that case, you can use a couple of things. One of the things that we teach is that how to use images, to represent the data. But sometimes in a structured organization, in a corporate, images doesn't always work because we have a lot of data. Right? And then say, in fact, alternative to images, how can you use data? You can use data and make sure that the data is clean and clear. And as you explain the data, your audience can see directly the data that you are referring to. And sometimes you say, I do not want to show data, but I wanted something more graphical. Okay, you can show a graph. In this example, I'm showing a pie chart. But this is a pie chart that is done in PowerPoint, but it doesn't look like a PowerPoint thing. Because PowerPoint pie chart is always boring. What you want to do is to bring out the key message, even though you are using PowerPoint to build the chart, so that people can see the information. In a nutshell, everything boils down to this thing called visual impact. How do you get visual impact? And throughout so many years, you realize that a lot of presenter, whether you are a senior presenter, a seasoned presenter in an organization, or somebody up there in the C-level, that are always doing presentation in seminar and town hall, they always use the wrong information at the wrong stage. Because we all are very comfortable using information on stage one. Stage one information are raw data. It's easy to use because all you need to do is go to the system, copy and paste without thinking. The data is complex. The information is very complex, very complicated. People cannot understand. In order to make sure that your audience understand the information, we need to analyze it, simplify it, and go into stage two. Bring the information into stage two, where it is a simplified information. When the information is simplified, it's easier to communicate. it's easier for your audience to understand and easier for you to talk about the information and say, look at what I'm referring to. Audience can see it directly. And once you are in stage 2, you can say, can I make it more exciting? I can bring it to stage 3. Stage 3, the information is more exciting because then you add diagrams, you add a chart, you reorganize the data to become something more visual because you want people to see the information. So 3 stages of information, 1, 2, and 3, we never use stage 1 information on presentation slide. So in the training, I always get the audience, get the participant to think again. Is your information stage 1? And can you use that? If you always see that, yeah, you can't because stage 1 is too complex. You want to bring it into stage 2 or stage 3. Example, this is stage 1 information. It's done on PowerPoint. We see this every day. This is stage 1 information. We see it every day. You know, when we have charts on Excel, we want it to present, we put it onto PowerPoint. We have charts like that. You see it every day. Not good. This is stage 1. We then want to say, let's not do stage 1, bring it to stage 2, then stage 3. And this is stage 2 information. Wow. When I show you, I can explain the information, you can see it directly. I can talk about 80% market share and requires resources. And the resources are 31 tasks, 500 jobs per day, and 335 man crew that is required to sustain the 80% resources or 80% market share. Something like that, right? Or if I'm going to show it in a chart, I want to focus and tell you what am I referring to in a chart. And sometimes you say that I want to make it even more exciting. That, okay, maybe we can use images, right? Images, you bring it into stage 3. When you tell a story using images, it's no longer exciting information. I will call it an experience, exciting experience, because you are bringing your audience into your presentation. You get your audience immersed into the world, your world, so that they are always with you when you present. So that at the end of the day, they understand and they are with you and they agree with what you are sharing with them. And that's how you would win proposal. That's how you would win contracts. And also that's how you would get budget and approval on the proposal. Not stage 1, always stage 2 and stage 3. So how do you get there? In the workshop, we work with something called a framework. Get smaller again, right? Make it a framework. A presentation design framework, we walk through the participant with this framework, starting with them thinking about the objective. Then how do you build content to meet the objective? And from then we get them to think about the content or organize the content visually using something called a storyboard, right? So we don't start by PowerPoint. We don't start using PowerPoint straight away. We start by thinking. We start by planning. The PowerPoint is the last step. The software is the last step. Because you get them to use the software straight away, they will be fighting with the technology. How to make the font size bigger, how to change color, how to draw this box. That's not what we want to learn. The software is easy to learn, but the thinking is a process that everyone needs to understand. Right? And then after that, we look at storyboard, visual design, and delivery. And we spend a lot of time on storyboard because that is where you think through, where you draft out your draft slides before you build your PowerPoint. Okay, and and here is an example, a picture that is taken from one of the classes. You know, they do their thinking on paper before they touch PowerPoint. So at the end of the day, we want your audience to be able to see the information. We don't want them to read because when they start to read, they cannot hear you. right? Because they focus on reading the content, the detail, and then they cannot hear you. So we don't want to build slide for them to read. We want to build slide for them to see. Here is an example of stage 1 where the slide is reading, and we see this every day. How you make it for seeing. This is a slide that is stage 2 for seeing. This is a slide that's stage 2 for seeing. This one, stage 3, also seeing. So we want to build stage 2, stage 3, We always get the audience, get the students in the class to think about, is your slide able for your audience to see? If it's not, then maybe it's not the right way to show the information. Right? So what's the difference? The difference is that the one on the left is for reading. We read documents, we read reports. That is for reading. We read newspapers. We don't see reports. We see presentation slides. You want your audience to see, understand, and then you as a presenter explain. So why? Because at the end of the day, you want to get the yes, which is very important. We must ensure that we get a yes at the end of the day. The only way to get a yes is that you have visual impact. Because with the impact, you create the engagement. With the engagement, you get agreement from your audience. And once you get the agreement from your audience, you get acceptance. People accept your idea. People accept your information. Very quickly, I'll show you a before-after of the thinking through process. Okay, so this is a slide that we see very often. Not good. Yeah. So in the training, we teach them how to analyze, how to bring out key messages, and how to reorganize the message so that they can build a new slide based on what they have identified, and the new slide will look something like that. Right? So if you compare the previous slide, difficult to understand. Compare with the new slide. Wow, straight away I know I'm going to talk about something that you see right in the middle, and then there are 3 points that I want to elaborate. Very easy. Another example, something like that. Wow. How do you get your audience to look at the right information? We analyze, we look at the key data. So maybe those are the few key data that we decide that it is the right data. Okay, and then we say what are the data represent. And then from there, we build new slide. Okay, and your new slide looks something like that. Straight to the point. Easy to understand. No need to waste time explaining a lot of things. I'm sure if you need to make a decision, you see the numbers, you see the data, you say, okay, I agree or I don't agree. Right? No need for a lot of in-depth discussion. Another example. So you see this one, not good. Compared to this one, a lot better. So we see a lot of this every day in organization. I work with a lot of organization. I see a lot of them like that. Something like that we organization always do, which is a dashboard. Every month a department manager need to use the same template to present a dashboard, KPIs and things like that. Hard to difficult to understand. We can break them up, use the idea, use the concept that they learn into something like that. More exciting, easier for everyone to understand. And sometimes you say that, well, not everyone is a good designer. I cannot design the slide. I don't know how to put the data, the information onto and make it look nice. It's okay. The important thing is that first you must know your data first. What data to use. Then later on, we will help you rearrange the data. So something that we give them during the class is called a toolkit. Okay, so the toolkit will have a lot of design ideas. Okay, a lot of design ideas that allow them to take their data, okay, look at the toolkit and say, okay, maybe which is the closest one that I can use? Maybe I can start with that. So they will always have a starting point, to choose a layout or a design that is relevant, that they can start using, and then they can modify from there, so that everyone can learn.